Hello, welcome to the COVID Conversations and thank you for joining us today. We're very pleased to have you along. I'm Dr. Bronwyn Harman. I am a senior lecturer in psychology and criminology in the School of Arts and Humanities at Edith County University, and I am a families expert. Now, why am I a families expert? What makes me think I'm so special apart from being the crazy lady down the road giving you advice? Three things. Theory. So my qualifications are that I have a doctorate in psychology. My research, I've literally listened to thousands of stories from parents for the last 30 years. I know you're surprised I've been researching for 30 years, aren't you? But I have been researching for 30 years and I have listened to literally thousands of stories from parents, so I know what it's really like. And of course, I do know what it's really like because I have 3 kids of my own, all adults now, but I do understand exactly how you feel as a parent. All right, so these are unusual times. We have never lived through anything like we're living through in 2020, and it will continue. I'm not trying to be a prophet of doom and gloom. I'm telling you that it will continue. There's no vaccine in place yet. We have no idea when there will be a vaccine, and it is likely that we're going to practice social distancing and social isolation in its various forms of severity the next few years. This might mean that we have to be socially isolated like we have been recently, where kids stay home, everyone stays confined to home. Could be just distancing, hard to tell really. So I was always an advocate for getting rid of your parenting manual anyway, but now you definitely should just throw it out the window. So that's it, it's done. Right, what do you mean about a parenting manual? Didn't you all get a parenting manual when your children were born? No? Then how do you know how to parent? There's a few ways that we know how to parent. The first is how you were parented yourself. So you look at how you were parented yourself and you take the good from that and the bad from that and adapt it accordingly. Next is societal expectations. Society very clearly has an expectation of how you will act as a parent. If you don't believe me, go to the supermarket and watch a child have a tantrum and see how much advice that parent gets. Your peers, family and friends give you cues on how to behave as a parent. You get ideas from your peers, family and friends. You have other sources such as books, websites and blogs, social media, crazy ladies down the road telling you what to do. And it's a combination of all those things. With social distancing and isolation, of course, there are fewer cues available, and that is one of the issues. You have fewer cues, and so you don't know how you are supposed to behave as a parent because you don't have the cues telling you what to do. Let's go back to basics. Your job as a parent is to guide your child or children to make them into socially acceptable adults. Now, that's the key point, is socially acceptable adults. What is important to one person is not necessarily important to others, or you may not have the same priority. Looking at the last 50-odd years, we have had a move gradually towards child-centered parenting. Prior to that, kids were seen and not heard. So if you brought up in the 60s and 70s, basically you did what you were told. But now in the 21st century, we've moved toward child-centered parenting, and we have what I call the professionalisation of parenting. And that is, there's a right way and a wrong way to parent. The problem is, what's right and what's wrong, you don't know, because the goalposts keep moving. You have no clue what was right today is not right tomorrow. Depends on where you are, whose standards you were measuring by. And the other thing is that you can't be a good parent all the time, but we'll get onto that in a moment. This type of feel is exacerbated by social media. Social media is very quick to pounce on the things that parents are doing wrong. They never pounce on the things that parents are doing right, only what they're doing wrong. So the problem is that, yes, parents do know their job is to guide their children into being good adults or socially acceptable adults, but they won't know whether they have succeeded in this until it's too late. You don't know if you have been successful in your parenting job until it is too late, your child is already an adult. And that's why parents look to other sources for their cues to try and figure out if they're doing it right. This is why social isolation makes it difficult. Most cues are now unavailable to you. Also making it harder, no relief from parenting. You're parenting 24/7 and you have more responsibilities such as schooling your children at home. Let's look at those. Parenting 24/7 is actually not normal. You probably have seen, if you're on any form of social media, people without children or people who've forgotten what it's like to have children, saying, oh, look at all the parents floundering around. They have these children 24/7 now, and they're floundering. Poor them. They should have thought of that before they had kids. Not so easy, is it? Parenting 24/7 is not normal. It's never been normal. It's never been a normalised situation. Today we have childcare, for example, and school to have I'll say, break from our children, for lack of a better word. In the past, we had the village. In the past, your children would be playing in the local community playground areas or in the street. They would be visiting grandparents or other relatives or the neighbours. In the past, it was much more communal parenting rather than singular parenting that we have now. But in any case, parenting 24/7 is not normal. It's not that you don't want to be with your children. It's just that you don't want to be with anybody 24/7. I don't want to be with anybody 24/7. I'm sure nobody wants to be with me 24/7. Your kids probably feel the same. They don't want to be with you all the time either. Looking at responsibility for schooling, that's really hard on parents as well. Teachers are highly trained professionals, as are early childcare educators. Why would you be expected to know how to teach your child effectively? And if you are a trained teacher or an early childcare educator, why would you be expected to know how to educate your child to the level that's expected? And yet seemingly you are. And that's a really hard thing too. Parenting is hard. It's hard work. And in 2020, it's becoming even harder. Okay, now I know what you're saying. I can hear you. You know it's hard. Help, help, help. All right, here's something I'm hearing all the time. I'm spending all my spare time trying to be a good parent. Is all my effort actually going to help? I'm putting in all this effort, and that's fine if it's going to help, but is it going to help? Short answer is yes. Interactions with your children are important. I'm sure you already know about attachment, where early years research shows that children who are attached to their adults, so a parent or a significant person in their lives, are more secure and end up being more secure as adults. Kids need a few things. They need consistency, so they need to know the outcomes of their behaviour. They need to know if they behave this way, this is what the outcome's going to be. They need boundaries, safety, and love. And as adults, not just parents, but as adults, all adults, it's our responsibility to protect our children, make them feel safe and loved, and to reduce their anxiety. Now, how do we reduce their anxiety in these sorts of conditions? It's very difficult. Your children will be aware that something bizarre is going on. They don't normally stay home from school for months on end. They don't normally have a ban on seeing their friends or their grandparents or other relatives. They'll know something's going on. My answer is that I would be answering in an age-appropriate way. That might mean you saying to your child, look, there's lots of bugs out there at the moment. We don't know what's causing it, but the best thing we can do is to stay at home to make sure Granny doesn't get sick or we don't get sick. And that way we can help out and make sure that nobody gets as sick as they would if we all were together. Now that I've said about attachment and spending time with your children, you're now probably thinking you're feeling guilty for not spending enough time with your children. Oh, it's so easy to guilt trip parents. I can do it easily. We have other responsibilities for a start. Apart from being mum and or dad, you are probably in paid employment, or perhaps you're not employed, and that's an area of stress. You might be doing volunteer work. You might be caring for elderly or disabled family members, and you can't do it all of the time. And what does enough even mean? Spending enough time with your kids. What does that even mean? Kids don't have to be entertained all of the time. It's good for them to be bored. That way they learn to use their imaginations and it builds resilience. As far as homeschooling goes, you don't even have to be sitting at a desk or in front of a computer all the time to have a learning experience. Some children will be learning much better by being in the garden, for example, and seeing how things work in real life. They might be able to visit a farm and collect eggs and see where milk really comes from. You don't always have to be sitting in front of a desk or in front of a computer to have a learning experience. The next thing you should take into consideration as a parent who is highly stressed is that it's okay to make mistakes as a parent. Not only is it okay for you to make mistakes as a parent, I'm telling you, you should make mistakes. Firstly, it allows your kids not to be perfect. If you're not perfect, your kids don't feel the need to be perfect either. That's a really hard thing to live up to, being perfect all the time. Too hard. Secondly, by not being perfect and making mistakes, you can teach your children the best behaviour when they do make a mistake by modelling. For example, by making mistakes and apologising after, your children learn how to apologise in a way that makes the other person feel as though the apology is genuine and real. They learn empathy. And thirdly, look at the big picture of things. It's easy to stress about the small stuff, but try to look at the big picture. I know that I've made many mistakes as a parent. I will continue to make mistakes as a parent, lots of them, but my kids are okay. I think they're okay. They're socially acceptable people. Okay, so the next thing is, there's a few more things I'd like to think about, you to think about. First of all, the people in Facebook land, Twitterverse and Instaworld are not real people. I know it's easy to get caught up in social media, in Facebook, Twitter and Instagram, for example, and think that everyone else has a perfect life and perfect children and doing all these exciting activities, and you're not doing anything. All you're doing is sitting at home and showing your children how to sew or cook or collect eggs or garden or whatever it is you're doing, and they're all having such an exciting time and you are not. These people aren't doing all those things all the time either. They're showing you the face they want you to see. Don't forget that Facebook, Twitter and Instagram and other forms of social media are not real. You are seeing the face that people want you to see. Nobody's happy all the time and nobody's having a fabulous time as a parent all the time. I can guarantee it. The second thing, and I say this so often in my role as a researcher and a mum and an advisor and an expert in families, nobody likes Judgy McJudge face. Don't be Judgy McJudge face. Nobody likes it. And don't listen to Judgy McJudge face because it's not helpful. Judging other parents is not helpful. Being judged is not helpful. Try not to listen to them. I know it's difficult and I know it's hard not to take it to heart, but Judgy McJudge face can get in the bin. I know parenting is hard. I've been there, I've done that, but think about the motto I have heard lately and I would like to live by is, the days are long, but the years are fast. I know the days seem very long sometimes when you're a parent, but the years just whip by. I have no idea how I got where I am as a parent now. Just try to trust yourself a bit more. Right, so now I've given you a little bit of a pep talk. There are some tips I have for you. First of all, surviving this isolation, being with your child 24/7 or not, as the case may be now. It depends on whether you're a single parent or partnered for a start. These are two very different experiences. And plus the age of your child is very different, how you'll deal with them. You'll deal with an older child much differently to how you'll deal with a younger child, for example. If you're partnered, you're more likely to be able to play tag teams. Single parents, not so much. It's really difficult for single parents. They have no one to hand over to. They're more likely to be the people that are with their children 24/7. Okay, remember that sometimes giving a child 5 minutes actually buys you 30 minutes or more. And what I mean by that is sometimes children just want 5 minutes of attention and they'll leave you alone, sometimes hours on end. So maybe take 5 minutes out of your day and read them the book or look at their picture or what it is they're trying to tell you or show you, or listen to them, or sit down with them and play for 5 minutes and build a Lego building or whatever it is they want to do. Is it going to take you out that much time of your day? No, but it will buy you quite a bit of time, more often than not. When you're sending your children to school, when they're actually attending school, do you have mental health days? And by that I mean the kids stay home for no reason. They're not sick. Sorry, teachers, but this happens. This is reality. I did it, and my kids are fine. Well, I think they're fine. I allowed my children to have a mental health day every now and again where we just couldn't be bothered getting dressed and getting up to the school, and I was as bad as they were, just couldn't be bothered doing it. Stay home, everyone feels a lot better. If you do that for one day every now and again, and I must stress the occasionality of it, I think we did it maybe twice a year maximum. Why can't you have a mental health day now? Why do you have to be switched on all the time? You don't. The other thing is you can change the activity or change the location. Hard to change the location if you're stuck at home, but maybe just change the room. So what I mean is, instead of being in the kitchen, go to the lounge room. Instead of the lounge room, go outside. If you instead of outside, come inside. Go to the bedroom, go to the bathroom. or change the activity. If they've been too hyper, they're dancing around and singing too loudly, quieten them down with a book, or give them some blocks to play with, or the other way around. Older kids can be more responsible for the outcomes of their decisions. If they make a decision that's not a good decision, it means that that's their problem and they can live with it. Don't fix everything for your older kids all the time. They'll get used to it. And when they're 25, they'll be ringing you up saying, Mum, my employer picked on me. What do I do? Well, you're not going to deal with that, are you? We're not with a 25-year-old. So think about that in the future as well. The older the child is, the more important the decisions are for them. And basically, you can reason with your child or you can trick them. And that's right, that's what I said. I said trick them. Do you want the official, politically correct line, or do you want the parenting line? I'll give you the parenting line. Trick them. Here's one trick that I would use on my children, and I'll be honest about this. If I wanted them to go to sleep and they wouldn't go to sleep, I'd say just lie in bed for as long as you can without moving and see how long you can stay there for. Worked every time they'd go to sleep. So sometimes you can just trick them into good behaviour depending on how you do it. If you're telling me you don't trick your children, I'll just think about what you say about the Tooth Fairy, Santa Claus, those questions you get about why the sky is blue, what's the capital of Venezuela, the things you make up. Reasoning with children works. Sometimes you just need to trick them, not all the time and not in a nasty way. Maybe, like I said, just say to them, just stay still for as long as you can and see how long you can stay still for, and they will go to sleep. Good parenting, trust me. Final word before we get to some questions. Your job as a parent is to guide your child toward being a socially acceptable adult. It's what I said. That's what that means is up to you. Nobody has the right to say their way is better. I think you all underestimate yourselves and you're doing way better than you think you are doing. And press on. Before you know it, the kids will be out the door, married, having children of their own, and asking you what to do. Now, we've had a few questions and I'll go to those now. The first one was somebody who said they're from the Hawkesbury, New South Wales, and it's a semi-rural region, about 1 hour northwest of Sydney. This person focuses a lot on the efforts on gaining and sharing insight on the struggles of single mothers. Single mothers and single fathers have it so hard. I have to take my hat off to you. I have no idea how you do it. And their children. And this person has lived experience of that too. I guess this person's saying, I think it's a she, is wondering if I have any advice for single mums who are in their first week of the kids being back at school full time, wondering how on earth to deal with all this time back to ourselves. That's so funny, isn't it? That feeling of being lost, finding it hard to relax again almost instantly, and feel responsible for everything and have not had time for herself for literally months. Where to now? And how does she best take care of herself at this time? Yeah, this is going to be really hard because you've been responsible for everything for so long anyway. Whether the kids are at school or daycare or at home, you're responsible for everything anyway if you're a single parent. Hasn't had time to herself for literally months and doesn't know what to do. I'm thinking just ease into it slowly and gradually. It depends on how old your children are. Younger children, maybe if they're in daycare, don't leave them in daycare for so long, so to stagger the time back. Would your school allow you to stagger the time back as well? I'm not really sure. And taking care of yourself at this time, take care of yourself all the time. Please take some time out for yourself. Do something you want to do for you that benefits you. So many people are focused on their children and the community and other family members, and they don't take time for themselves. Parents need to take time for themselves all the time, whether in a pandemic or not. I think this is going to take a while for you to adjust back to, and you'll probably just adjust back to the feeling of not having your child at home all the time when we'll be in a lockdown again and you'll be wondering what to do again. So that wasn't very helpful, was it? That's the best I've got for you at this time. What suggestions do I have to help boost confidence in ourselves as parents, to trust our instincts more and ignore the outside pressure to be the perfect parent? Yep, as I've already said, no need to try and be the perfect parent all the time. You can't be perfect all the time anyway. because you are human. You will make mistakes, and it depends on what you call perfect. What one person calls perfect is not what anybody else calls perfect. Any tips on managing eager grandparents who don't understand the importance of social distancing, like wanting hugs from their grandkids? Oh my goodness, I do not know what to do with this either, really, to be honest. Persist, try to intervene, I don't know. Don't visit them, no, that's not a good answer. No, really, that is a hard one, and I will have to think about that and come back to you on that one. And a parent of a 2-year-old and found the daughter has become much more clingy during isolation to a point where she has to be cuddled almost all day. With social isolation being around them 100% of the time, feed a toddler's attachment to a negative point. Possibly, the child is probably taking a lot of advantage of the fact that mum and or dad are home all the time. I'm expecting there's a lot of pets out there who are feeling the same. I'm quite anxious about going back to the office myself and leaving my dogs alone. They haven't been alone for months on end, and they're probably thinking, where on earth has everyone gone? I can only imagine what it's like for a 2-year-old. And possibly you are going to get to negative behaviour for some time. The best advice I can give you is to be consistent in the expectations and boundaries that you set. So making sure your child understands what behaviour is expected and staying with the boundaries. Okay, that's all I've got for now as far as questions go. You are welcome to either email me your questions, b.harman@ecu.edu.au, or you can see me on Twitter @Dr. Bron. Happy to talk to you either way. Thanks for listening, and I hope you got some benefit out of this little talk today. Go parents, you're doing well. Keep trying. Not long now. Thank you. Bye.